Andrew Czysz Jr. presents a Carthage College sports media project incorporating its esports program and Rocket League team. Welcome to the Carthage Esports Rocket and Roll Birds podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Rocket and Roll Birds podcast. My name is Andrew Czysz Jr. Pleased to be taking you through episode 1 of this amazing podcast for Carthage Esports Rocket League. Doing this for a sports media project, however, could turn into something bigger. Once again, I am Andrew Czysz Jr., currently serving as a Carthage Esports commentator for video games such as Rocket League, Super Smash Bros., and Overwatch. So, diverse lineup for me. Obviously, for those of you who are listening to this, you already know what I do for a career, and Carthage Esports is a part of it. So basically, this podcast is going to give you a contextual overview of what we offer here at Carthage Esports, while also focusing on our primary Rocket League team, Carthage Red, which is why the podcast is named Rocket and Roll Birds. However, half of it is going to be dedicated to just giving you guys some sprinkles of what we offer here at Carthage Esports. Our origin and offerings will be in episode 1, which you guys are listening to right now. So we'll get into it with the introduction to Carthage College Esports. So what is esports and why is it important? This is one question that I always get from parents of older generations, also some professors as well. So to break it down for you guys, the Oxford Dictionary defines esports as a video game played as a competition for people to watch as entertainment. So basically, students play a video game and it gets live streamed and people watch it for entertainment. It is pretty much streamlined to traditional sports such as like hanging with your buddies, watching a game of football, a game of soccer, a game of basketball, something like that. It is basically the same thing. It is just an entity that is different, which is the video games being put into it. Now, people in older generations, the stereotype goes, it's just a video game. What is there to offer? But as we get into this podcast, ladies and gentlemen, you will see how Carthage Esports is opening opportunities for our students, including myself. If you've been updated with the stuff I've been doing, it's pretty amazing. But yeah, continuing on, the esports industry is important for several reasons. Another question I get to is, why is it so important? Andrew, why should we care about esports? Well, it is an inclusive environment that fosters collaboration between students, their peers, and coaches. Additionally, this industry is incorporated in in various Wisconsin high schools and colleges. So, for an example of some organizations that include Carthage Esports, which is the main topic of discussion, there are other ones including the Wisconsin High School Esports Association, short for WSIA. I have served as their lead broadcaster for Rocket League, Smash Bros., Valorant, other titles for about 3 years. Midwest R6, which is just an exclusive league developed by one of our coaches in Carthage Esports, Jackson Haffenbrettel. He founded this league in 2020, 2021, somewhere around there. And it's basically just dedicated to Midwest teams playing Rainbow Six Siege competitively, which is awesome. Great Lakes Collegiate Rocket League, which is another Rocket League esports organization. Car Soccer Association, the newest one that's on the market right now. I believe they just launched their season as I'm recording. It's March 31st. They launched their season officially March 30th. They had a draft style format similar to what you would find in the NFL, the MLB, but just with Rocket League players. And they have, their own league with about 8 or so teams, and they have unique names for them. So that's awesome. Wisconsin Esports Conference is another one that is a little bit newer. It came out in fall 2024. And Wisconsin Collegiate Rocket League, that's been around for a while. It's also another dedicated esports organization to Rocket League. Continuing on with why esports is important, participating in esports at any level will enrich the educational experience by allowing students to develop teamwork, communication, critical thinking, and problem-solving skills. Let me read that again for you guys. Participating in esports at any level will enrich the educational experience by allowing students to develop teamwork, communication, critical thinking, and problem solving skills. So, those things alone tell you that esports is really important. It fosters all of these skills for kids to learn. Now, this is for obviously that niche group that, is trying to fit in, trying to find a club that they enjoy. If they can't find one, have them look into esports. Esports is one of those clubs that can really get you out of your comfort zone. Hey, take it from myself. Before I got into esports over at Horlick High School, I didn't know what I wanted to do for a career. I mean, I knew I wanted to be a sports journalist, but I didn't know how I was going to get there. But esports came around and, it changed the whole trajectory of my career. We'll get to that in a later podcast episode, though. Continuing on, opportunities within this space are not limited to playing games competitively. Other avenues include broadcasting, play-by-play or color, graphic design, creating promotional material for social media posts, social media manager, which is basically just managing the social media account for an esports organization, similar to what people do for sporting organizations, to keep followers up to date with other programming. And can also be a stream producer, which is just the person that helps run the Twitch streams for our weekly esports streams, regardless of what title is being featured in a given time slot for a given week. So moving on, how did Carthage College get involved with esports? So I actually had to do a bit of extensive research on this one. So in fall 2019, Carthage formed an esports task force, which consulted with industry experts and peer programs to develop a plan for a competitive program. This prompted Carthage to launch the school's first co-ed program in 2021. The Firebirds esports team was officially established on March 1st, 2021. If you want to see the actual article, it is posted on Carthage Athletics. You just have to do some research on, when Carthage Esports was first involved, and that article will pop up. That was a great use of research. So the Firebirds Esports team fully kitted with a dedicated arena located in the lower level of the Todd Weir Center. After this move, Carthage had 28 varsity sports in total. Interest from 500 applicants for admission to Carthage through the first 2 months of 2021 also pushed for esports at college. So it's not like there was just, 50 or so, admissions people pushing for this. No, it was 500 or about 500 that were interested. So definitely big pull for esports to come here at Carthage. Obviously, 2021, that's before my time. I came here in fall 2023. So this, entity was already built. It's more so of, people like me coming in to, reinforce the culture that was established previously. So continuing on with that story of how Carthage College got involved with esports, then sophomore Jordan Ball, who's one of the best casters that has ever graced Carthage Esports, took a lead role in the esports task force. And he said, and I quote, "Bringing esports to Carthage allows people who share my simple hobby to use it for something more and to represent our college at the state and potentially national levels. All parties involved would raise funds to help cover the cost of renovations and hope to secure corporate sponsors." So, to Jordan Ball's words of bringing esports, allowing people to share his simple hobby and to use it for something that'll represent the college at the state and potentially national level, that's exactly what esports are supposed to do. You got to have that competitive nature within your program, but you also need to make sure you have that inclusivity factor as well. And then again, Carthage was able to raise funds to help cover the cost of renovations of the basement in the Todd Weir Center in order to have all the furniture and, the fancy setup you kind of see in the thumbnail here that I've posted. You can kind of see the broadcasting room right next to the Firebird logo on the wall, and you can see half of the 6 varsity stations for the PCs and whatnot. Obviously, this isn't a live picture. This has been taken a long time ago, but you still get the gist of, what the esports arena looks like from a glimpse. And ever since fall 2021, Carthage has been going 4 years strong, offering a great lineup of games to play both casually and competitively. We will get to that in a matter of moments. So, a brief overview of the Carthage Esports program. Carthage College's esports program, known as the Firebirds Esports, is the school's 28th varsity sport and first co-ed sport, offering varsity, competitive club, and recreational club programs, and features a broadcast team. When the co-ed sport was founded, then director of esports Kevin Palmer was the inaugural director of esports from 2021 up until 2023. As of September 2023, when I joined, Robert Xiong, a Lakeland University graduate, is the current director of esports at Carthage College. And I believe he was in the master's program at Carthage as well. And he did some things for Lakeland Esports as an esports intern. So there's that as well. And Carthage's mission statement: build a supportive community for students interested in the gaming ecosystem, providing opportunities for skill improvement, networking, and teamwork, while also enhancing the learning potential of students through a broad esports ecosystem. So again, it's all about just fostering inclusivity and just making sure the students have opportunities to shine, whether they want to be a competitive player, if they want to be a broadcaster, graphic designer, social media manager, whatever it is. We welcome a variety of career paths here at Carthage Esports. So with that introduction of Carthage Esports being out of the way, we'll transition to the second main topic of this podcast, outside of the overall origin, is the offerings that we have based on teams and game titles. So a common question we get is, what games do Carthage's esports teams compete in? So as of the latest academic year, this year, 2024-2025, Carthage offers the following games: Overwatch 2, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, League of Legends. These three are all offered in the fall. Counter-Strike Global Offense, also known as CSGO. We did offer that in the spring. However, we did not have enough people for a team. But who says it can't come back? Because speaking of an esport title that came back this year that wasn't there last year, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, which is usually offered in spring, did make a return this year. Rocket League is also a spring title, as well as Valorant, who is currently competing as of this recording in a semifinals playoff match for the National Esports Collegiate Conference. We'll get to that more in a second. But yeah, Overwatch, Smash, League of Legends usually offered in the fall. Counter-Strike Global Offense, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, Rocket League, and Valorant all offered in the spring. And based on that, people are going to ask, are there different teams for different games? And I'm here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, yes, there are different teams between varsity and club titles. The varsity titles include the ones mentioned previously. And Carthage also provides a club section where students can compete with other schools in a smaller league for a specific game title. In the past, we've offered Call of Duty, FIFA, Fortnite, chess, Madden, NBA 2K, and Street Fighter, any other games that gain enough interest as well. So the difference between varsity and club essentially is that our varsity gamers are going to be playing at that higher level in conference play to try and win championships, giving the students the chance to play in a competitive environment in hopes of winning championships, like I just said. Club is more so of that like niche thing where you can go for a championship sort of thing in like a smaller league, but it's not really as competitive. And then we also have recreational things where people can just come in and game as well, on their own free will, as long as it's within our arena hours. We'll get to that in another podcast episode as well. So based on that information about the teams and the games offered, how competitive is the program at Carthage? So since spring 2022, Carthage has remained an undeniably competitive program. The program competes under the National Esports Collegiate Conference, NECC, and Wisconsin Esports Conference, WEC. Now, to wrap up this episode one, we will just take a look at the NECC and WEC and see what their mission and vision statements are. So for the NECC, it has fostered innovative competitive experiences since the 2020-21 academic school year. In their initiative, they provide high-quality broadcasting services and work to support an inclusive environment within collegiate esports. We have been a part of NECC for about, I would say, 3.5 years now. So we know a thing or two about competing at NECC. And little teaser for you guys, we have won some stuff, so you will get to hear about that in a later episode. And finally, for the WEC, it's fostered a vibrant collegiate esports community since fall 2024. Our mission is to deliver an equitable and exceptional experience for the student athletes and coaches at our member institutions through a focus on key elements such as accessible match scheduling, affordable league entry pricing, competitive divisions, opportunities for in-person competition, and an overall continuing commitment to the growth of the Wisconsin esports ecosystem. So what you see here is both of these leagues are tailored to, again, getting that inclusivity factor in there, getting that competitive factor in there, because that is what these students thrive off of. They thrive off of competition. They join esports to play games competitively mostly, but some other ones are going to have other interests. Like if you're a theater major, for example, you might like doing stuff behind the scenes. You might like doing broadcasting since you have that, framework of, being an actor or whatnot. Broadcasting, you sort of have to act a position, but you don't want to be like too much distance from yourself. You want to have sort of that transparency with yourself where, hey, I can be me. And at certain moments I can, get really excited when things get tight. If you're commentating a close game, for example, like if it's Rocket League, and, we're down 1 goal and there's about 20 seconds left, and we tie the game 4-4, for example, you're obviously going to get hyped up. So it's, again, just these esports organizations coming together, fostering inclusivity, the competitive integrity of gaming, and just keeping an open mind when recruiting students, whether they want to play or whether they want to help with the media production, stuff like that. So yeah, that's basically it for episode 1 of the Rocket and Roll Birds podcast. This was an overview of Carthage Esports, both their origin and offerings based on team and game titles. I have been Andrew Czysz Jr. Hope you guys have enjoyed episode 1 and stick around for the next episode of the Rocket and Roll Birds podcast.